I'm going to make a concrete candle from start to finish and show you the whole process. I'm going to lay it all out on the line for you. I'm not even going to edit this video much. Just go grab yourself something to eat or drink, and let's go. Hi, my name is Jake Catalano. I have all my ingredients ready to make this concrete candle. I don't quite know what I'm going to make, but it is, let me pull out the date because this is a starting point. We'll figure it out together. It is Monday, November 20th, 2023. Now, it's 3 days before Thanksgiving, and so I could make a holiday candle, right? I could make like a Christmas candle. But let's be real. Christmas is over, right? When I say over, air quotes, it's because it's over in the realm of what it is that we do. We have to think as business people ahead of the game. So I'm going to think a little bit ahead of the game, and I'm going to take us into 2024. I was thinking, let's make a Valentine's-ish kind of candle jar. Candle, right? Concrete. What do you think about that? We'll do a red, and I was thinking of a heart. Now I'm going to actually pop up what I did in the past. If you're part of the Facebook community, you know what it looks like. I'm going to make this kind of silver foil heart on top of the red. People have given me a lot of questions about it and love it, and so I figured, why not do it? It's a good candle to have. If I were to do a Christmas candle, right, which is a possibility, not everyone's into Christmas, and it's such a small moment in time. As big of a holiday, and I love Christmas, as big of a holiday as it is, it's not really the holiday that I want to focus on, especially that we're so far into 2023. And the good thing about doing this candle is it also could be for Mother's Day, or just because. You could give a candle to anyone with a heart on it just because. There doesn't have to be a season. So we're going to do it that way. Plus, everyone loves a red candle, right? I would hope everyone does. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? Huh? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear my respirator. However, my respirator's here, and if I put it on, I sound like Darth Vader, and I don't want to go for that look or sound. So I will wear my N95 mask, all right? Now, before I do that, I'm going to zero out my scale, all right? And it's zeroed out right now. And I'm going to add my water to my bowl first. Now, if you watch me over the year and a half that I've been doing this, I always add the Simmental and the water on top. However, a video from AJ Rodriguez, who I watched in the do-it-yourself Facebook community a few months ago, had this process, this video, which is awesome. It only had like 100 views, and there's like 22,000 people in this group. And I'm like, this is a genius video. This video's got all the goods. This is some good stuff. And unfortunately, it doesn't get attention due to the algorithm. Sometimes, you know, you post something and you're like, why didn't anyone comment? It's because of the algorithm. It really has nothing to do with that. Sometimes they just throw it out to everybody, and sometimes they don't. So this video obviously didn't get thrown out to a lot of people, but boy, if you're in the group, go check it out. So what it is that she said was adding the water first and then the mix on top. What that does is it makes it a smoother mix, more manageable, less dust, and bubble-free, or as bubble-free as you can get. I mean, I think she said she has a couple of bubbles. Listen, we're concrete artists. A couple of bubbles is okay, right? I always say that perfection is in the imperfection. So a couple of bubbles as part of the perfection, if that makes sense. And by the way, shout out to AJ Rodriguez and her studio name. I'm going to go off the top of my head here. It is, I hope I'm right. Please forgive me if I'm not. I will pop it up here just to make sure that I did get it correct. It is Passaic and Essex Candle Studio. I think I'm right. I think it's Passaic and Essex Candle Studio. Might be shop. I know it's Passaic and Essex. We had a conversation about that. Yes, I reached out to her. I said, can I throw your name up there? Can I throw you out there and shout her out? We got to shout each other out. When somebody changes your process, she changed my process. Does that make sense? Now, I could have done it the other way, and if you do it the other way, that's fine. It's not like someone's going to knock on your door and arrest you, or it's not like you're not going to come out with a good candle jar. That's not the case. My process was down so good that I was getting a smooth candle jar. I didn't have a lot of bubbles, but I was using my vibrating machine. She was doing it without. And so, and to be honest with you, the Cement-All, I contacted them, and that's how they do it. Go figure. You would think I would know, and I didn't know. So a little mistake on my end, but it was a lovely mistake because I got to meet somebody and connect with somebody and learn a new process. I learned from you as much as you learn from me. Trust me. I might not say it every video, but trust me, I learned a lot from you guys. So this is zeroed out. We're going to add in 87. This is my silicone mold, by the way, with a lid. I'm going to add in 87 grams. So I already know my formula. Got to know your formula. Must have a system. I'll put the mask on in a second. So I am going to put in 87 grams. And I'm almost there. 72. That's 89. That's close enough, right? I'm not going to be that specific in this respect. I do work that way. If I get 90 or 92 or 86, so be it. It is what it is. Let's put on the mask. Oh, before I put on the mask, I did mention that I'm going to be making this Valentine's Day-ish kind of candle jar or concrete candle. And I'm going to use red pigment. And the pigment's going to go on top of the water so that my water is nice and red and saturated with the contents before I put in the mixture. So I'm going to zero this out. I need 5% of my mix. My mix is 345 grams. I'm going to have to measure that out, but that's what I have to put in here. And so I want to make 5% of 345, which is, if I'm not mistaken, 17. I mean, you'd think I would know, but sometimes, I've got a few, I don't know, let's say 6 or 7 different formulas in my head. So every so often I make a mistake. We'll see if I've made a mistake in the end. I think I'm right. Anyway, 17 grams coming right up. Wow, that was 10. All right. We're going to do, see how red this is? And it just dribbled. By the way, this is like the supra black pigment. If it touches something, it turns color. It's crazy. This stuff is crazy. It is pretty powerful. And there we go. That's 16. You know what? That's good enough. I always feel like you wanna kind of do a little bit less and see how that works out. I guarantee it's not gonna ruin it. It's not gonna be a white candle jar when I'm done with it. If anything, it'll be pink. Let me get my towels because I want to clean up my little mess. I got a little red here. And look, it already stained my table. Damn it. I'm forever painting this thing. I paint it every few weeks. So here I am with my 16. I'm going to zero that out. I got to get myself something to stir. I use my skewer stick for a couple of reasons, but I'm going to stir this lightly. I would do it with my spatula, but I need my skewer stick anyway, and I hadn't pulled that out. You'll see why I use that in a second. Matter of fact, I'll do it together. So here's the thing. Making a concrete candle is whatever you want to make it to be, right? It can be a fast process or it could be a slow process. And what I mean by slow is I'm going to make this Valentine's Day candle with a silver foil for a heart, and that slows down the process, right? It's not like I can just pop those things out left and right. Actually, there's a way I can do that, and I will eventually. But for now, I'm just expressing to you that it's a process of how you determine it should take, how long you determine it should take, right? If you want to just utilize a Cement-All candle jar, then it's pretty fast. But if you like designs, Rit dit. Rit dye right there. If you want Rit dye, or you want globe marble, or you got the Buddy Rhodes, or whatever your process is, it's going to make it a little bit different. It's going to be artistic. Every time you add to your artistic challenges, ability, creations, it's going to slow your process down, right? All right, so I've mixed this up. This looks pretty good. And now, zero this out. Now we go with this. And by the way, get yourself a respirator. This respirator is the respirator I've used. Did I already say this? Because if I did, I'm probably going to edit this out if I've rambled about this before. But this is a respirator I've used from day one. If you can tell, it's ripped from my big head. Twice or 3 times I've had to tape it and glue it. And you think, well, why wouldn't you just go and buy a new one? Well, a couple of reasons. By the way, look at that red. It stained my hand. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Be careful with this stuff. It stains. But it's, boy, when I'm done, you're going to be like, wow, it's red. That's red. But get yourself a respirator. You are potentially breathing in silica sand, right, or dust. That stuff will kill you. And I don't mean like figuratively, I mean literally. So get yourself a respirator, or at the very least, an N95 mask. So now this is zeroed out. This might be close to 345 because I just dumped in a whole bag. I try to sift it in. You see that dust? You see that? I don't know if you can see that dust. That dust is not anything you want to breathe in. Get yourself a respirator. Look at that. Oh, and you're not going to believe it. I couldn't make this up. 345 on the nose. I can't make that up. Anyway, here I am. I'm going to stir this together. It's going to be a little on the thick side because this pigment right here is pretty thick. So it kind of thickens this whole thing up. Now, I'm going to stir this up. I'm going to keep this on for a couple more minutes. I'm going to stir this up, and when I stir this up, I'm going to stir this up for about a minute, all right? And I say a minute because 30 seconds is one of those time frames that I feel like you'll miss a lot. You know what I mean? If you were to say to someone, you know, how much time do you have left? You say 30 seconds. You go, man, that's quick. Can I get a minute? So that's where that is. I want to give a minute. Now, if you do 2 minutes, which is a possibility, you're starting to let the stuff harden. It's starting to set. It's not hardening. I shouldn't say that. You got some time. You got about 5 or 6 minutes, actually. But you want to make sure that you don't go too short or you go too long, right? Does that make sense? And that's how I do it. And I let a minute go by. So it's probably about 45 seconds have gone by. And I think I can take this off. Hopefully this dust is gone. I don't want to be breathing this stuff, and this stuff will kill you. It really will. Anyway, I think I got about a minute done. I try to get the sides. Make sure you get the sides. You don't want extra chunks in your candle jar, right? You don't want chunks, things falling apart. You want some good solid stuff. Now, I don't know if you can see that. It is a red bowl with a red mixture in there. So I don't know. I'll zoom in, let you see. But it's pretty red. And the lights are not quite on that. Anyway, I am also not going to use a respirator. I was going to say respirator. Well, I didn't use a respirator. I'm not going to use a vibrating machine, which is over here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if the cameras shows that. But I'm going to do just a little tapping. And before I pour it, I do let this settle for a couple of seconds. I just stir this up, and the stirring is what's causing the bubbles, right? So those bubbles are looking to get out. And so by letting it sit for a couple of seconds, I'm letting those initial bubbles go. That's my interpretation of how bubbles sound, my interpretation. I don't know. I don't even think they do that. Here we go. We're going to pour this out into our silicone mold. And I've got in about a quarter already, right? So I'm going to stop. I'm not going to touch that. So I got to go somewhere tonight. And I don't want extra red because then it looks like a crime scene. You know what I mean? They're like, Mr. Catalano, who did you murder? Where's your wife? I'm going to pop any potential bubbles on the bottom by squeezing. I like to do a little squeezing before because you never know. There might be a couple of bubbles, right? And I'm getting those out. And here we go, in. Now, because it's thick, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, darny. I must have gotten too much on there. That's okay. We'll take a little bit out, put it back in, and then take a little bit more out. Put this out so you can see. There we go. All right. So, and I'll fix the bottom of it. You know, talking and doing a concrete candle jar at the same time is sometimes you make a little error. But when it comes out, when it's dry, I'll show you what we do to fix the bottom. It'll be smooth, but the sides might have a little excess or extra because I overfilled it, which I don't normally do, but it happens, right? And if it happens to you, you have to know how to fix it. You see how it's dripping down there? I'm going to actually leave that. I'm not even going to clean it. I'm going to let it harden. And by the way, the best way to make, and that's all the bouncing and all of that I'm going to do. That's it. It is what it is. If there's bubbles, there's bubbles. The best way to clean up, right? Look at that. Look at that. And then I barely touched it. I should have put on some gloves, but I didn't. The best way to clean this up is to let it dry. If I clean it up now, I just spread it out, right? If I let it dry, oh, I gotta do this. If I let it dry, I end up just kind of breaking it off as opposed to having to spread it, clean it, get the liquid. No good. No bueno. All right. So one of the reasons I use the skewer stick is I like to get the contents on the edges, which in the lid of the silicone mold, if you've ever made a lid, is infamous for the bubbles. It just, I don't know what it is. It's like, oh, bubble, I want to hide out here. And they, boy, do they hide out. So I don't necessarily do it that long, but, you know, I'm doing a video, and I want you to see that it gets done. So we're going to add in some more of this content right here. You know what I'm going to do? Because it's thick, I'm going to actually scrape it. Let's get out some of this content off of the spoon. I know I said I would let it harden, but I don't want to necessarily get it all over. And then, let's see how I can do this on camera. There we go. You see that right there? Can you see that? There it is. That might be everything. We'll see. No. I'm going to need more. All right. There is a little bit more. This formula is pretty specific. So let me make sure I got it all out. And I think I got a lot of it out. Yeah. Don't eat this stuff. It looks like it's some kind of, I don't know, holiday something. Holiday mix. No good. All right. I think I am good. And this is where I'm going to stop the video, right? So that you can come back, or we can come back together in about 3 hours. And then we're going to demold this together. Don't go anywhere. All right, 3 hours has passed, and now it's time to demold my red concrete candle jar. Look at how red this thing is. It's awesome. And as I demold this, because you should know how to demold, and if you don't know how to demold, that's okay. What you're going to do is you're going to go to some of my old videos. They show you how to demold. You don't necessarily need me to do it right now. So I'm just going to demold it, and I'm going to talk to you about some frequently asked questions that I get. I get a lot, actually. And so I'm going to talk to you guys about that. And by the way, if you notice these little cracks falling down, right? Remember, I over poured. And so that's to be expected. I will fix that. That's why that bucket's here. I will fix that in a second. So basically, one of the questions I get asked a lot, and I actually just got a form of that question just now, a little while ago, from a couple in, I don't know where they're from. I don't know. Anyway, what they said was they thanked me for all of my work, and they decided to share some photos with me. And I thought, well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate that, by the way. If you ever want to send me a photo of your stuff, by all means, please send it to me. I love that stuff. let me be specific. Don't just send me photos of your stuff. If it's because something that's inspired you, I want to see. Of course I want to see. I want to see if this stuff works outside of what it works with me. Does that make sense? So, but one of the questions I get all the time is, how can I repay you? How can I thank you? How can I support the channel? And I think it's important to talk about that because I get that question a lot, not necessarily in those words, but in forms like that. And there's three ways that that could be done. And the first way, the simplest way, is to just like, subscribe, or comment on a video. Just by doing that. And that's not an egotistical thing, by the way. That's actually, by doing that, it helps the algorithm push the content out to more people, which will help me because it builds the channel. Does that make sense? So any of those three things, or two of those three things, and if you feel big, bold, and bad, all three of those three things will help, right? So like, comment, subscribe, that'll help. And by the way, watch the word subscribe. Every time I say subscribe, it's supposed to illuminate now. It's a new feature that YouTube has. It's pretty awesome. I actually watched it the other day. I don't usually ask people to subscribe. I'd rather you like my video. I would love for you to subscribe. Don't get me wrong. But I prefer someone to like a video because I feel like if someone likes my video, it's more meaningful, right? A subscription to my videos, you're going to see them whether you're subscribed or not, or you're going to not see them. It depends on how you feel. So I don't care per se about that as much, but I do care about it because I'd love to get to a point where I could be in the 100,000 subscriber range, right? And get one of those plaques. That would be awesome. We'll get there. I know we'll get there one day. Okay, so I've demolded my jar and it looks pretty awesome. The bottom doesn't look bad. It's a little funky, but that's because I need to sand it down from being over poured. And I'm going to put it here. And as I do that, I'm going to talk you through some of, and by the way, there's water in here. I'm not water bathing, but there's water in here because I want to kind of keep, I don't know if you can see that. I want to keep it from getting all sandy and dusty. That's really the reason why I do that. And so I'm just going to sand down the edges a little bit. It looks fine. I'm not going to sand the back because the back is pretty smooth. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? I'll zoom in. But let me move on to the other two ways that we could support each other, or you could support the channel. The other way, I got an itch. That's the last thing I need to do is scratch myself with this red. Ooh! One of the ways that you can support the channel is by utilizing some of the affiliate links down below. If you use an affiliate link, that supports the channel. And none of those links will make you pay anything more. It's not like you incur an extra cost by using one of those links. Those links help build the channel, help support the channel. So I would be very pleased if you did that. The more you do so, the merrier. And I would thank you if you could. I think that looks fine, by the way. That's fine. Anyway, that would be a second way you could do that. The third way to do that would be a super thanks. If you look down below, you'll see a super thanks button. It is the form of a $sign, I believe, and a heart and a thank you button. That super thanks is almost like a donation, right? So if you say, hey, you know, I'm going to donate $1 or $5 or $10 or $20, or if you feel big and bold and go for the 100, hey, I'm all for it. People do every so often surprise me with something. Listen, it's not a necessity, but it helps support the channel, right? These are ways that when people ask me, I let them know that, hey, will help the channel. This stuff is expensive, right? I don't necessarily have to pay for everything, but I do have to pay for stuff. And so that stuff is important. It's important for you. It's important for me. I use it to build the channel and to help you, to help me, to help each other, because it's a community. So those are the three ways that you can do it. And by the way, if you can't do any of those three ways, that's fine. Just by viewing my videos, I'm super appreciative of you being here watching my videos. I mean that to the extent that if you and someone else who had given me a donation of $50 were stranded somewhere and needed help, my fan went on. and you needed help, I would probably help the guy that helped me with the $50 first. But I will come to you real quickly. I'm only kidding. I would actually help whoever needed my help. I'm not that type of person. I'm really not. So don't even worry about it. The whole system went on. See, I'm down here in my basement. I'm down here with my water heater and my HVAC, right? So every so often things go on, but that's fine. You can still hear me, and we're almost done. What I'm going to do now is weigh this. You think to yourself, well, why is he weighing it? Well, because we want to see how much it weighs, because I'm going to come back every day and we're going to seal it on the day that it starts to stop, or that it starts stabilizing, the weight stabilizes. So once that happens, I'm going to start sealing. Better said, I'm going to add the heart in, and that's the day that we're going to seal. So right now it says 383 grams, and today, if you remember, is 11/20/23. And so tomorrow, we'll see how much it weighs. I'll be back then. Have a good night. All right, it's November 21st, 2023, the following day. And here we are. We're going to weigh this vessel to see how much water weight dissipated overnight. Now, why do we do this? As a recap, we do this to see when the stabilization weight reaches so that we can seal it. Does that make sense? That's the reason we do it. And before we actually weigh this to see the difference between yesterday's number and today, and by the way, here's my silicone mold that I used. I cleaned it up. It looks pretty good. It is still very slightly red. I don't know if you can tell, but it's usable in multiple colors. For example, red, your greens, your oranges, black. I wouldn't do white. That's risking it. And if I did do white, I would let the first couple go through, if that makes sense. And then I would use it from there, because I noticed that sometimes when I reuse a mold in a totally different color, it starts to change and clean and starts to get back to its original state. That's my 2 cents. Hopefully that helps. Now, what I wanted to say was there are some frequently asked questions that I get, and I wanted to answer another one today before we weigh this, and that is, that just went on. Damn it. I should have turned that off. It's my dehumidifier. Damn it. I'm back. What was I saying? Oh, my frequently asked questions. I'm not editing. I'm really not editing. I want to I want to show you the process. And if I make a mistake by saying shoe, I want to show you that process. So the frequently asked question I get all the time, and it's probably the top question, is what can I use outside of Cementol? Now, my very first answer would be Hydrostone. I love Hydrostone. If you have access to Hydrostone, that would be my go-to place, or I should say go-to product to use to make these jars. Now, Hydrostone is more expensive financially, but much less expensive time. So for me, it actually works out to be cheaper buying Hydrostone. And what I mean by that is there is a 6 times, I can demold a Hydrostone vessel 6 times earlier, 6 times quicker than I can a Cementol jar, and 33% faster to cure it, or better said, to seal it. Does that make sense? So 33% quicker to seal and 6 times faster to demold. That time frame is much more valuable to me than a few dollars. That's my 2 cents there. But if you don't have access to Hydrostone, you're going to look for other plasters. UltraCal 30, Hydrocal, I believe in the UK it's called Ultrastone. Don't quote me on that. However, I do have it linked on my website. I was fortunate enough to have a few communities to sift through hundreds, and maybe even 1,000 comments of various products used from people all over the world. And I took those data points and I listed each time these particular products were used in these particular countries. And I have various countries there. Go check it out. Link will be linked. The link will be in the description below. But if your country's not there, please know it's not because I don't like you or I don't like your country. It really is. I just didn't have the data to support my information. And I'm not going to throw something out there just to throw it out there. I hope that makes sense. I'm sending love your way no matter what. So that would be another option, to take a look at that link, see what's there. Another option would be to make concrete. How do you make concrete? Concrete is made by sand, cement, and stone, or aggregate, or pebbles. And so that could be made all over the world. And if you have access to those products, which you should, you can make that. Now, it is a longer demolding process, and if you don't like the raw look, that might not be the way to go, because it's going to look like a concrete vessel, as opposed to this that does not look like it's concrete. Hopefully that makes sense. That is an option, though. I also have a video where I listed 5 different ways that you can make concrete vessels. I will link that below as well. That is an option. For example, my formula is on there. My formula consists of sand, cement, and plaster. Now, I use plaster of Paris. I use plaster of Paris, which I'm not a fan of. It's the weaker plasters of all the plasters. However, I do use that to show that if made in the right ingredients, can be successful. That's the only reason I use it. If you have access to other plasters, use those plasters instead for my formula. And that's really basically where we are in that regards. It is a process if you don't have access to Cementol. You could always have it shipped to you. I know it's expensive. I get that. But you want to know what? Look at the bigger picture. Don't look at the cost. Look at the bigger picture. You're out to create, to sell, to have a business, to make money. And so if you have these products, even if they're more expensive, and you're only making X amount of dollars as opposed to someone else who's making much more, that's okay. Because in that interim, in that time frame, you can actually find other products as you continue to grow. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And so anyway, that's my answer for today for the frequently asked question. Let's figure out how much weight it lost overnight. You guys ready? I'm looking forward to this. I really am. This is always fun to do because you always think to yourself, wow, that's a lot of weight. Let's see. And as a recap, yesterday's weight was 383 grams. And today, wow, it's teetering back and forth. It is at 356. So that is 23 plus 7, 27 grams. Woo! 27 grams overnight. That's a lot of water weight. And so that water weight will start to go down a little bit less and less tomorrow and the following day, because the majority is going to happen overnight. But that's where we are right now. We have 2 days before Thanksgiving. I probably won't do much on Thanksgiving. I'll come in and I'll weigh it, but I won't seal it, if anything, the following day if I find that the weight is exactly where I need it to be. And we'll go from there. I'm sending you guys a lot of love, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Ciao. All right, I am back, and today is day 3, or shall I say the second day that I've been doing this, and the third day that you've seen me. Does that make sense? So today we're going to weigh this vessel. And by the way, it's November 22nd, 2023. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I can't believe it. I really can't. It's gone by so fast. But we're going to weigh this vessel, and we're going to see the difference between what yesterday and the day before was, to see where we are in regards to when it's time to seal this concrete candle jar. However, before I do that, I want to answer another frequently asked question. And that question I get all the time is, what do I do when this happens to my concrete candle jar? And then fill in the blank with this. It could be cracking, bubbling, breaking, white spots, black spots, wet spots. What do I do? And so here's the irony of this answer. It's most likely your water. Now, I say irony because you need water to create a concrete candle jar, but at the same token, it could destroy it. So think of water like salt to food. When you add too much salt, it could kill you. Am I right? So the same thing here, except we're not talking about a life or death situation, but we are talking about the usability of it. You can't really use it if it breaks. You really can't use it if it cracks. There are certain situations where you could, but for the most part, you can't. So it's the water content for the most part. Now, too little water, and it's going to be brittle. Think of it like a potato chip, right? It's just going to be brittle. It just doesn't have that strength. And if you have too much water, think of it like a thick paste almost. It won't quite bind together. So you have to be careful with how much you put in, but how little or how much extra you add to it, right? Because some people think you could put more in. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of each problem, not solving it, but that in a nutshell is the reason you're going to want to lower the water content to some degree. And there's two forms of water. There's the water that you put inside, and then there's the water in the air that contributes to the water, to the porosity, right? This is porous. Water will go in, and it could make it a little bit heavier and a little bit more moist. Make sense? So you're going to have to be specific with your formulas. I'm very specific with mine. If you like eyeballing in my opinion is not a great philosophy, a great way of creating, but it's fine if that's what you want to do. If that's the case and you're running into problems, you might need to tone it down or write it down, and then you can get back into eyeballing. I hope that helps. It's not something that is going to be solved unless you do something specific, and that usually is water. Are there other circumstances? Yes. For example, the Cementol lately has been a little funky. Some people in the community have complained that the Cementol has been faulty. That does happen, and when that happens, you call them up and you say, I need a new bag. Anyway, that's it for today when it comes to our frequently asked question. Let's weigh this vessel and see how much weight it lost. Imagine if that's how it was with us. We would just wake up and we'd lose a bunch of weight. Anyway, here we go. I am now zeroed out. Oh, and just as a recap, day one, or right after I demolded, it weighed 383 grams, and yesterday it weighed 356 grams. So it was a 27 gram weight drop. I know for a fact, I should say almost for a fact, this is not going to be as much as day one. The distance between the two numbers is not going to be quite as great from day 1 to 2 as from day 2 to 3. Does that make sense? So here we go. Yes, I am correct. It is 341 grams, which is a difference of 15. Or 38 between day 1 and today. That's a lot. That's a lot. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. It is Thanksgiving, but I'm going to stop by for a minute to say happy Thanksgiving. And if you don't celebrate, that's okay. I love you anyway. See you then. Okay, it is the following day, November 23rd, 2023. And if you've been following along, today is Thanksgiving. At least Thanksgiving for me. By the time you see this, it'll be past Thanksgiving. But happy Thanksgiving to you and your friends, your families, your loved ones. And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I'm still sending you a lot of love and support anyway. Naturally, I've been doing a little frequently asked questions before I weigh the vessel, but I felt it was more befitting to give you guys a true, heartfelt thank you for all the love and support that you've shown me over the last year. Being that today's Thanksgiving for me, I wanted to say thank you to you for allowing me to come into your homes through the iPhone, through the iPad, through the television set, for inspiring you, for educating you, for telling me that I make you laugh, even though some of my jokes when I look back are pretty corny. But I appreciate it because I never saw this channel and this experience going from where it was to where it is. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys have shown me all this love. So I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. And again, if you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, that's okay. I'm sending you love as well. So remember, yesterday, let me be more specific. When we first started, this weighed 383 grams. It then dropped 27 grams and went down to 356. And then yesterday, it dropped 15 down to 341. I'm expecting today to be a bit of a lesser drop, if that makes sense. All right, let's see where we're at, and then we're gonna make some decisions what to do tomorrow or the following day. Here we go. You guys ready? I'm looking forward to this. What do you think the number is gonna be? Pretty similar? You think we're there? I'll let you know. It is 338, teetering between 38 and 39 grams. And so that is only a 3-gram differential. So what that tells me is we are ready to seal. Now there's 3 grams, and those 3 grams could be there for whatever reason. I can't tell you what that reason is. Maybe the humidity in the air. Maybe there's just 3 grams left. It does take 28 days to cure, so obviously there is water, but it's a thin vessel. So it's not necessarily a 28-day period because that's the best practices. It's been 3 days on a thin vessel. There's not a lot of room for this to dissipate from. Does that make sense? So normally, I would probably start sealing right now. 3 grams are not going to make a difference to me. But it's Thanksgiving. I am going to wait another day because I'm not going to do any extra work today because I got to spend time with my family. I hope you understand that. I will be back tomorrow, and we will put a heart and seal this bad boy so we can start making the concrete candle. I'll see you then. Ciao. All right, it's Black Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Even though you're watching this after the fact, I hope you had a great time with your friends and your family. And if you're not a celebratory Thanksgiving person, that's okay. I'm still sending you a lot of love. Now, today is Black Friday, and Black Friday is important because it is the sale of all sales. And so today, I'm offering a sale to those who are interested in the Winning Formula, my course. Now, it's not Black Friday for you right now in real time because you're watching this after the fact. So you're going to see a code pop up, and that code you're going to use, and that code will be usable until the end of the year. And so if you decide you want to use it, go ahead and do so. It's usable until the end of the year, of course, which is 2023, in case you were wondering. Now, there are 3 reasons, or I should say there's 3 groups of people that this course is good for. The first person, or the first group of people, are the people who need a little hand holding. We need a little hand holding from time to time. This course is perfect for those who need a little hand holding. The second group of people that this course is good for are for those who need a streamlined step-by-step process to get you from point A to point Z with very little BS in between. So we get you there as quickly as possible, and it saves you time, money, and headaches. That's important. Now, not only do you learn it, the step-by-step process, but you're also learning why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that's equally as important, right? Most people in this community I see don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So this course will help you get the right information. Now, the third person, or the third group of people who this course is good for, are for those who want access to me, who need a springboard, who need to find out more, who are a little confused, who might have experimented and maybe something went wrong. And even though there's a troubleshooting course, or I should say a troubleshooting portion to the course, you never know. Things go wrong and you want someone to reach out to. I'm there. I'm part of I have a private community, and that community is where we access one another and we communicate. And every so often people don't feel comfortable, so they reach out to me via email or messenger or whatever. So if this is a course that you think sounds like it's something for you, please go check it out. There's a link to the course in the description, but the coupon code is only for those who happen to be watching at this particular moment. So if you're not watching, you're not getting the discount. All right, that's where we're at there. Now, I wanted to mention that yesterday we weighed our concrete candle jar. And we discovered that it weighed 338 grams, right? It started out at 383 grams 4 days ago, and now we're at 338 grams. All right, so I would have sealed it yesterday, but it was Thanksgiving. And by the way, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving, in case you were wondering. And I just wanted to mention that my Thanksgiving was just awesome. I spent time with my family. I was able to, and I have two teenagers. I actually have a preteen and a teenager, but you never know what kind of results you're gonna get with those groups of kids at that point, right? Are they happy? Are they mad? Are they angry? There's a lot of this sometimes. So it was nice to be able to spend time with them. I wanted to throw that out there because, people do always so often will ask me about my personal life. So that's out there. Great Thanksgiving. So we had 383 grams we started with. We reached 338. I would have sealed. However, it was Thanksgiving, like I just said. And if you were to find yourself in a similar situation, that's when you would seal, on day 3, not necessarily the day after. So keep that in mind when we do our calculation of how long this whole process took. Does that make sense? Now, this will lose more weight. There is moisture still inside. It takes 28 days to completely dissipate. But keep in mind that there is humidity, and in the humidity, there's moisture. And moisture will go into the surface or into the pores of the concrete. So keep in mind that you're never going to be moisture-free. There are going to be some moisture inside. It's when it's a lot of moisture in the heated content, right? So if you have a candle, if this becomes a candle, and the candle gets hotter, the lower it burns, the hotter it gets, and it starts to get really hot, the water's going to look to push its way out. And what happens is it starts to either bubble the sealant or crack the sealant, or even worse, crack the actual jar, right? So you don't want to do it too early, but you don't need to wait 28 days. I don't need to wait 28 days. You need to see what works best for you. So don't necessarily follow everything I'm doing. You still need to test what works for you. You might be in an area that's very dry, and maybe you seal a day earlier. Or you might live in a place that's very moist, very humid, and you have to seal it 5, 6, 7, 8 days later. Who knows? Some people seal 2 weeks later. So that's where we are in this process right now. Let's, out of fun, see where we're at weight-wise. We started yesterday, or we should say we finished yesterday at 338 grams. And today we are going to, I know it's going to be lower, but probably not by much. Oh, it teetered between 336 and 337. So it dropped 1.5, maybe 2 grams, right? And there's multiple reasons why that happened. So we're at the ceiling point, right? And it might even go up, or I sometimes, well, it's at 337 now, so, and now it's at 336, and now 7. So it's in between the two. Who knows why it's doing what it's doing? So it's probably about 1.5 grams. That's the right amount. We're here, we're ready to seal. Now, if you remember, we're going to put a heart on this vessel, and I'm going to use the sealant, which I'll talk about in a minute, on the vessel to put the heart, I have some silver foil here, and that silver foil is going to be the outline of my vessel. Now, I'm going to design my heart on the vessel in this process in front of you guys. I've got my pencil to trace around. I've got my sealant. I've got my silver foil. But I'm not going to talk about all of this. I'm going to give you a frequently asked question answer, right? Something that gets asked a lot. I'm going to give an answer to it and do the process. But I want to quickly tell you what I'm going to do so that you know. I have this heart right here that I cut beforehand. I'm going to just hold it trace around, and then once I've completed that, I am going to seal the inside, and then I'm going to put the foil on the outside, and then maybe I either seal the inside again or the outside completely, but I'm only going to do the outside once. Does that make sense? You'll see the process. I'm only explaining it because I think it's a little boring if I sat here and go, okay, right now I'm just putting on some more glue, okay? Or I should say sealant. Yeah, here we go with more sealant and some more foil. This foil, by the way, you sneeze, this thing goes all over the place. So we're going to talk about a frequently asked question. Let me move this. And if I pause, if you don't hear me speak for a couple of seconds, or you see that I'm in thought, like I pause, but I'm in thought, or you don't hear me speak for a few seconds, I'm concentrating. I haven't forgotten you. I'm concentrating. It's very tough to do two things at once for me. So we'll see how this goes. What's the worst that happens? It doesn't look good. So we'll go from there. Anyway, one of the frequently asked questions that I get all the time is, what sealant should I use? Or better yet, I get various questions or ways that it's put to me, and sometimes it is, what do you use, Jay? What should I use, Jay? Or you know what? I'm not even, I don't even get access to a lot of the stuff that you have, Jay. What can I use in my country? And so those are all very valid questions. Let me start out by saying that I am a huge fan of earth-safe finishes, right? Now, I need to tell you that there are 3 reasons why I'm a huge fan of earth-safe finishes, or better said, 3 reasons why I use it. And the first reason is that I am an affiliate of earth-safe finishes, and it's important for those. This is earth-safe finishes, by the way, quick dip sealer. I'm not quick dipping because I have to paint on my heart. So I'm using earth-safe finishes quick dip sealer, and I use earth-safe finishes as an affiliate. But I mention that because I think it's important that affiliates are. You see, this is where I got to pause for a second. Affiliates need to stand by what it is that they promote. Does that make sense? Now, I've been using earth-safe finishes from day one, since I started. I mean, I've used other products, right? I mean, God, if you've seen the channel, you know I used other products. But I've used earth-safe finishes from day one. Now, earth-safe finishes, like I said, I'm an affiliate, and I stand by the product. Another reason why I use their product, or why I think one should use their product, is that Nancy, who's the owner of earth-safe finishes, created her product for the crafter, for us, for me and you, for people like us, right? It's not made for a countertop, or, well, I mean, you could use it for a countertop, but that's not why she made it, right? You could use, let's say, Rutland's or Echo Advance, or you name it, Ovation, efflorescence blocker, whatever it is that you want to use. None of those products, none of them were made for us. They just so happen to fit our scenario. Does that make sense? So what happened was, I find the finger actually makes it a little easier. I found that over the last few months. I could just pick it up and kind of place it on the line that I drew. They didn't make these products for us. They made them for a more lucrative business. Think about it, right? If you really want to make money, you'd become a concrete table maker. Anyway, they didn't make these products for us. They made them for these other substrates and these other artistic forms. And so you have to realize that these products don't always work for our purposes. Even though they work, they don't always work. And so it's possible that you buy, let's say, for example, and I'll give you an example because this happens a lot, Echo Advance, which I love their product. It worked for me when I used it. I do use it every so often. It doesn't work all the time. I can't tell you why. I have spoken to the owner, and the owner, very, very nice guy, very nice, was so appreciative of me doing the video, and I was very appreciative of him giving me all the information. We must have spent 45 minutes on the telephone. What a great guy, and a great product for what it is that he's doing in the world of concrete. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work for us. So keep that in mind. You have to keep that in mind when you're looking for a sealant. It might not work. Now, for the most part, it does. There are some people it's never failed for. And so if that's you, great. There are some that it's failed for, and so that's where I have to at least put that out there that, hey, you never know. You never know. So what can you use? Now, if you haven't seen my video on the 17 sealers that I reviewed, I did a video a few months back. Not all of them worked. I'm not recommending them. I'm just telling you that, these are what's out there. You take a look at that video, see if any of those sealants work for you or are accessible to you. Now, I have people contact me from all over the world. I really do. And I love it. I really do. When I see somebody from somewhere that, like, anywhere, you name it, Nigeria, France, Spain, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Guadeloupe, Australia, UK. I'm not just naming countries. These are people that have reached out to me and have said to me, asked me questions, springboard, whatever. It makes you feel special. It really does. And it also is a little, what's the word? This isn't sticking. There we go. It's a little surreal, or no, that's not the word I'm looking for. It's almost mind-boggling that someone from around the world can reach out to someone else like myself, ask some questions, and be help to one another. There's so much love in the world. I know there's so many things that are going on in this world that is just horrible. But when you really look at it, there's a lot of love in the world. Unfortunately, the news doesn't show that. I'm not getting political. Trust me. That's not me. Where was I? Oh, so sealants. You try to make a heart on top of your concrete vessel and then do a video. Woo! There are people that could do it. It's just this isn't necessarily easy, but I'm going to tell you this. It's coming out good. Coming out good. I like it. So what can you do? Oh, you know what I said I would do, and I made a mistake? I said I was going to seal the inside first. I made that mistake. I'm sorry. And the reason I was going to seal the inside first is so that it would have dried, and then as I finished, I would do it again. I made that mistake, but I'll do that in a minute. It's okay. Earth Safe Finishes dries pretty quickly. You could put a second coat pretty fast. And so that's probably another reason why I like to use it. So sealants. So you can use the sealants that I recommend from the video, Earth Safe Finishes. If the cost of shipping is expensive, which it is, I'll tell you a quick story. I make silicone molds for people from time to time. Oh, that's sweet. This is coming out. This is unbelievably cute. I love it. I love doing this. This is great. I make silicone molds for people from time to time. What do you think? Huh? I love it. It makes my heart move. Anyway, I'm going to just fill in a couple little spaces. I was telling you a story. Sorry. Sometimes the foil wants to do its own thing, and that can be frustrating. So I make concrete. No, I don't make concrete. Oh, see, I'm concentrating on this, and I'm trying to say what I want to say. I'm just making small adjustments. I'm trying to be as perfect as possible, which, you know, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. And I always say perfection is in the imperfection, so I should be imperfect here and let it go. This is a dough bowl, a wooden dough bowl. I make silicone molds for people, and this dough bowl someone ordered from me a few months back, and they lived in Australia, or they live in Australia, right? And so I wasn't really privy to I've mailed them across the United States. I've never mailed them into Australia. So I make the silicone mold. Came out great. I was super happy. And then I ended up going to the post office, which is right close to me. I get to the post office, and the post guy, the postmaster or the cashier, says to me, excuse me, the cashier says to me, that's, God, what did he say? $86 to ship it to Canada, to ship it to Australia. That's $86. $86. Now, keep in mind that I don't have the silicone mold. I should pull it out to show you. I think I have one somewhere. It's about 5 pounds, a little less than 5 pounds. So 5 pounds would be shipped to Australia. $86. I died. I literally died. I had a heart attack in their facility, and then after I died, I came to life, and I had to pick myself up and say, holy moly, that's a lot of money. And the guy, a very, very nice guy in our neighborhood, he said, listen, if you want, go check out other, very nice. He wasn't saying this in a mean way at all. He said, if you want, go check out other places, you know, like UPS or Federal Express, and maybe you get a deal, you know, find out and you know, save yourself some money. I said, okay, yeah. I go to UPS. Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. Just take a wild guess. Did I say that 3 times? Take a wild guess. $326. $326. I'm still in shock. Just saying the numbers is shocking. Because if you think about it, if we took my weight, which is about 170 pounds, we take my weight and we divide that up with the cost of a ticket. I think it's like $2,000 to go to Australia. 5 pounds doesn't equal that amount. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like if I took myself and I chopped myself up into 5-pound pieces, which would be weird because I'd be dead, but work with me here on this theory, and we chopped my little body up, the 170-pound body up into 5-pound pieces, it wouldn't be $326. How do you come up with this? 326, I died. So I went home, I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna sell this mold to her. I'm not gonna make any money. Even if I lose money, it's just a way, I made a mistake. I'm gonna save face to me. I don't mind losing money if I'm gonna, less to have to worry about. I don't, sometimes I see people get caught up in what do I do? Their candle broke. Should I give them their money back or whatever? Listen, I don't think twice about stuff. I don't. There's too much going on. Mental health is serious. If I sit there and I start thinking like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? I could have done what I should have done and I'd be done with it, right? So if I rip the Band-Aid off and I just, take a loss, whatever the loss is, and send it to her, she's happy. And so what? I don't have a couple of extra dollars in my pocket. That's okay. I just realized that I can't sell to Australia right this moment, right? So the following day comes around, and you know what happens? I go to the post office, and he goes like, oh, I made a mistake. It's $115. $115? You told me it was 86. I should have mailed it right then and there. And so I was like, damn it, I can't. I mean, look, I got to be honest with this lady in Australia. It's not that I don't want to sell to her, I do, but I got to be honest with her. Now what I'm doing is I'm gonna paint over this. See, it's on there, it's stuck, it's pretty much dry. I'm now going to seal it with sealant on top of it. I might add a little piece. We'll see. So I contacted her the next day, and I was like, or I should say that day, I was like, I'm so sorry. The shipping is crazy. It's not even so much the shipping that I'm like the loss of money that I would have incurred. It's not even that. It's I don't want to support that. Does that make sense? So I get that if Earth Safe Finishes is not something you want to ship to your country. I get that. Like I don't want to support the shipping companies per se. Not these billion-dollar shipping companies. I don't mind supporting Nancy or supporting a small company, but a shipping company, no. I know they need money too, but they don't need that much right now. And they don't need $326 worth. So I wrote to her and I told her the truth. I said, no, I can't do it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I felt bad. I really did. I felt bad. And she totally understood. She was like, I get it. Anyway, so we're talking about sealants, and I know I went off a bit, but that's okay. It gives me time to do this and not have to concentrate as much. I am now just dabbing on some sealant to seal on the silver foil, and it's looking great. There's also something else I'm going to do to it to kind of make it even better. I'll explain that in a sec. So sealant. Now, let's just say you can't find a sealant. Nothing's working for you. It's not a go. The sealants aren't working for you. You can't find anything from the video. You don't want to pay the shipping for Earth Safe Finishes. I get it. Or they're not working, right? Let's say they're not working. Sometimes that happens. One of the things I like, you can't see, I'll show you this when it's all done, and I don't mean today, I mean when I finish the candle. I think it's more fun that way. It's kind of almost like a surprise. I mean, you already see what it looks like, right? But I'm not editing this video. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. When you spread it out, it kind of leaves little flakes. That's cool. It's like, go to my website, you'll see. I've done this before. I enjoy doing this. It's kind of cool. And I have a way to do this now. Or I will have a way to do this where I won't even spend that much time doing it. Anyway, so sealants. You can go to your local hardware store. And in the hardware store, what you can do is ask the professionals there. Ask someone, the owner or someone who works there who's knowledgeable, not just a worker, but someone who's knowledgeable, and find out what sealants they have in your country, right? You're going to have to ask some questions. Hopefully you're in a country where they don't mind all the question asking, because I'm the type of person I get on the phone and ask a ton of questions. I got a ton of questions to ask. So if your country's not into questions, I don't know, email. Email is always a good option. They're going to answer you the way they're going to answer you. So I would go to the hardware store. I would ask them what's out there. And if they say that they have a couple of products they offer, you're going to go to the manufacturer of that company, right? So you look on the back. There should be a phone number. Hopefully, if there's not, call them up from their website or email them and find out, is it heat resistant? Excuse me. Is it heat resistant? Is it non-toxic? What do they think would it be effective for burning a candle? If you make planters, you don't have to ask that question, obviously. See what they say, right? That's a good starting point, in my opinion. That will, and by the way, I'm sealing the inside again, and this will be it. I normally do once when I quick dip it, although lately I've been brushing it on because I got a bigger brush. I could be done with this in 3 seconds and I don't have to waste any product. That is a way to do. I know it's a dipping mechanism formula that she created, right? You could dip it. I'm sometimes just like more control. That's just me. Maybe you feel the same way. So what was I saying about the sealant? You can call the manufacturer, see what they say, ask those questions, and then hopefully that solves your problem. You're going to have to test. Oh, duh, I forgot. I am an admin on 2 Facebook groups for concrete candle makers. I get access to the back end. I also am able to kind of, well, I guess you could do it on the front end also. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get a tack-on brush. This is a sponge brush. Hold on one sec, guys. Don't go anywhere. By the way, if you don't have a tack-on brush, I love these. These are the best. They make everything smooth. I should have got a thicker one, but whatever. So I'm a part of these groups, and so what happens is I can go in, see the back end, and do research. I mean, you could do it on the front end too, but I find like the back end is just a little bit, I can kind of get in, I could dig in deeper and do the research I need. You know, what is it that I could do video-wise? How can I answer questions for people? You know, how can I make everyone's life a little bit easier when it comes to this stuff? So one of the things I did few months back was I decided I was going to research through these groups how many people from various countries use certain products, right? So if they used a product, I wanted to know. And so I went through hundreds, possibly even 1,000 comments, and I listed each country. Now, there's only about 7 or 8 countries that I was able to get sufficient information from, but keep in mind that I've never tried this stuff. I'm not saying to use it. I'm saying that people from these various countries, UK, New Zealand, Australia, Spain, South Africa, I mean, whatever's on my website, and I forget off the top of my head, I know I listed a bunch. Whatever's on my website, those are the countries I was able to get the answers from. Here we are so far. What do you think? Huh? It's looking good. I'm pretty much done. Let me finish this thought and I'll wrap this up. Oh, there's one little thing I'm going to do. Excuse me, I am not done. I didn't plan on doing it until now. Oh, here it is. Excuse me. I literally thought about this as I was doing it. I was mentioning these little specks that fall on. You can't see it, but just if you go to my website, you'll see this kind of similar jar and you see these specks that are on there. What I'm going to do is I've got some glitter here, and I'm going to dab a little on, right? So I'm going to put a little sealant on, right? It's a good way to kind of seal it twice if you really want to seal something twice. And then I'm just going to kind of sprinkle a little glitter on it. Anyway, the problem with talking about something and then talking about something else is you forget what you were talking about. I know I was talking about the various countries, right? On my website. You can go there, you can find the information. If your country's not there, please don't get mad at me. It's not there because I didn't have enough information. I didn't have enough data. There's not enough people that are in the business from your country for me to make a good, solid decision on whether to not recommend it, but put it on the website. Does that make sense? I mean, if only one person said something, I don't want to risk you burning someone's house down. Does that make sense? So it's just a little. I'm just doing a little. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm just gonna drop a little right here, and it'll sink into the vessel as it's being sealed. Anyway, So if I didn't put your country on my website, if I didn't put it there, it's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't love your country, and I've been all over the world. It's that I didn't have the data. So please don't take it personal. Don't write me an email saying how much you're mad at me, because I do love you anyway. Now, the other thing you could do, and by the way, we're pretty done. You won't be able to see it. You have to see it up close. Is you can, if you can't find it in your country, you're going to go to a neighboring country. You're going to contact someone in the neighboring country. For example, if you live in France, UK has a lot of options. That would be a neighboring country, at least close enough, and that would get you some good sealants. That would be my recommendation if you can't find a sealant in your area, right? I have to seal the bottom. I'll do that off camera. I don't necessarily think you need to stick around for that, but you get the idea. Actually, I don't need to seal the bottom because this is sealed, but I seal it anyway. I like to make everything kind of uniform. But I wrapped it up. That's what you could do about sealants. Sealants is a very, very tough topic, especially if you live in certain countries, but do know there are options out there. I gave you a bunch. Hopefully that answered your questions. I will see you tomorrow as we will see where we're at with this vessel. I'll answer another question, and then we got to think about when we're going to add a candle. I can't wait. Have a great day. I'll see you then. All right, it's the following day, and the question we all want to have an answer to is today the day we're going to put candle wax inside this concrete candle jar? And unfortunately, the answer is no, because Earth Safe Finishes has a 48-hour cure time. However, I made a little bit of an error. And my error that I made was I forgot to add in my warning labels and my transfer label logo onto the candle jar. Now, I normally do it the day that I seal, but I made that mistake, forgot yesterday. There's no hard rule, so to speak. However, I did make that error, and I want to make sure that we do it today. All right, and I'll explain why it's a little bit of an error in just a minute. So, one of the questions I get asked all the time is, where do you get your labels from? And that's a great question. So my warning labels, I actually had printed at Starlight Stickers. And Starlight Stickers is a company that I worked with in a video that I did about 6 months ago, maybe. So I'm going to link that video. That video is an excellent video. They're a great company. Their stickers are tear-proof, waterproof, run-proof, excellent, excellent, excellent stickers, labels. Check those out if you're interested. Now, the other thing that I use is a logo. I add my logo. Why my brand? I add my brand to the candle jar, and I use Unique Portraits for their transfer labels. Now, the reason why I said that it was an error yesterday, was that when I put this onto the sealant, it usually, not all the time, but it usually, give me a second, I want to make sure I'm not too off, it usually removes a little bit of the sealant when I remove the transfer label itself, right? Which actually helps to transfer the logo. Can you see the logo there? Now the label's still there, and I'm going to remove that, but I have to make sure that it's on there. Unique Portrait, awesome. You can get samples of their work, and they don't charge you for them. They only charge you for the shipping. I would check them out. I'm going to leave a link below. What a great company, and they offer some great opportunities for foils, transfer labels of all sizes. Awesome. I really like using their labels. And so a little bit of the sealant is coming off. Not a lot, not a big deal, but enough that I'm going to add just a little bit of sealant on top. And another reason I add a sealant on top is because I want to make sure my logo stays on top of, or I should say on my candle jar. I don't want this thing coming off, 6 months from now or 3 months from now. I want it to stay on. So this sealant acts as an extra barrier, if you will, to my concrete candle jar. And I am happy with that. That's going to dry and stay on top of my candle jar. Here it is right there. There it is. That's my logo. All right, guys, tomorrow's the big day. We are going to make a concrete candle. I'll see you then. Okay, today is candle making day. I have everything I should be needing for today's project right here. I added my candle wax to my pitcher already because it's a huge bag. So I felt like I was going to condense things because this table's kind of small and I don't want it to be where I'm on, trying to reach over and figure out what I'm trying to say and do at the same time. So I've got 238 grams of C3 soy wax inside here. I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to follow along. I'm using a CD12 wick for this project, for this candle, and my fragrance oil is just a combination of mango and coconut. Smells like love. I actually have a fragrance oil on order. It didn't get here on time. That's okay. You got to work with what you have. So let's get started. Don't forget that we're on day 7, although Thanksgiving took away a day. So this would technically be day 6 because that's how I would have worked. So my candle wax is in here. So I don't have to measure that out, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start my candle warmer. I have to make sure that this thing warms up. And what we're going to do is, one of the things I want to talk about is, and it's not a frequently asked question. I think it's important that I mention that because people don't necessarily ask this question, but this is probably a question that everybody should ask. And I will break down what I do when I do it and interrupt myself, if you will. One of the things that I think is very important, and I think you should at least really consider that it's very important, is multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income. If you see me stirring this a lot, it's because there's only one candle in here, so I don't want it to burn. Or if you see me moving this around a lot. So far, so good. Let's see how that does. Multiple streams of income. This is important because people don't realize that you are really setting yourself up for a disadvantage if you are just expecting to sell candles, right? I'm going to put my wick sticker on, right? I have to clean my actual wick bottom because you never know if there's any oily deposits on here. So I like to clean that off, dry it, and then I'm going to add my wick sticker. If you're relying on just candles, that's tough. I'm not saying it can't be done. There's companies that probably do it, but that's tough. That's tough. So think about multiple streams of income, and I'll give you an example. By the way, I printed this. This is a 3D printed wick centering tool. I kind of designed it by mistake. It really is just a hole for a wick, and I put it into my candle jar, and I put it down to the bottom, like so. Boom, and I'm centered. Yeah, it works every time. Anyway, I highly suggest you get yourself a 3D printer and learn how to do this. I printed my wick centering tool as well for the top. Listen, if I could do it myself, Jay's doing it. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, and I forgot to mention this. I like to twist my wick because sometimes not sometimes, a lot of times they lean when they burn, right? They start to tilt to one side. So that allots it to kind of go around in a circle and distribute the heat a little bit better. That's just my 2 cents in that regard. So multiple streams of income. I'm going to help this along because if I don't shake this, it might burn. Make sure my mic is not only on, but not being covered by my jacket, because then you'll start to hear. So I have been a big proponent of multiple streams of income from the beginning. And one of the ways that I make money, obviously, is through the YouTube channel. It is through their AdSense program, which I joined last year. It's through a requirement. There's criteria. I met it last year, and I've been making money with them ever since, which thankfully has been going up. But, you know, I can't just rely on that, because it's only one source. And to be honest with you, you never know what you're going to get. Who's going to watch a video? Who they're going to distribute it to. I'm going to check what the temperature is. Make sure this is on Fahrenheit. And I have to kind of play with it because it's only one candle in here. So it's kind of hard. I can't let it do its thing, if that makes sense. I have to kind of do what I'm doing and hope to God that it all works out. But I'm looking for it to get to 200 degrees. It's almost there. So multiple streams of income. Let's get back to that. I do AdSense, right, as I said. And one of the other things that I have a way to make money is through affiliate links, which of course I've mentioned before. Affiliate links are the links that you'll see down below in the description. If you click on one of those links, I get a small commission. That commission does not affect your price, right? You do not get charged anymore. And I do not put anything down there that, one, I don't use. Let's see how this is doing, by the way. That I don't use, that I don't stand by. If I think it's going to hurt you to make money, that's not happening. Just so you know that. And I want to make sure that that's absolutely clear. Which leads me to my next source of income is sponsored posts, sponsored videos. I only will use or take a sponsored video if someone reaches out to me based off of the fact that I want to use this product, or I've tested it and said, wow, this could help the community. I'm not doing it because I want to make money. I tell everyone that. I also tell them that I have to test it. Just want to check this temperature. This is one of those candle wax warmers that if you sleep, if you sneeze, this thing's up to 400 degrees. You got to be careful. We're almost there. So I don't get a lot of sponsored video posts, but the ones that I do get, I vet them. I make sure that they're legit, that it's a good company. I've had to tell people no. I've actually tested products that didn't work, and I had to tell them no. It's the way the business is, right? I'm going to make sure that it's the best for you if it's the best for me. That doesn't mean you have to use it. I use earth-safe finishes, and there are people that like me or like my content, and they don't use earth-safe finishes. Does that make sense? So, sponsored posts, excellent way of making money for this business for me. Another way I make money, and we talked about this earlier in the week, is through my online course, which has been a very good source of income, and I've been blessed to have that a part of my journey. I don't... I have other sources of income as well. For example, my website will pull in some affiliate links, but also it pulls in some money from the AdSense program as well. So it is a source, although it kind of combines with YouTube, if you will. It doesn't. You know, I wanted to just mention it because I want you to think for yourself in regards to what you can do to make money. In addition to that, I also do one-on-one consultations, which has added to my income stream. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, I think we're good. We're gonna pull the plug. And so those are the sources of income that I have, that I use. I had to do it this way because there's only one candle in here. And so if I try to use the spout, it's not going to work, right? Because it's too high. So yes, multiple streams of income. And so then you might think to yourself, well, what does that mean in regards to you? What can you do in regards to making multiple streams of income if you aren't a social media person, right? Which you got to think about social media. If you're not thinking about social media, you are at another disadvantage. Okay, one thing that I add in, by the way, real quick, we'll continue talking in a minute, is a little bit of coconut oil. I'm sorry, coconut oil, sorry. Coconut oil, because this helps to smoothen out the hard soy wax. I don't use much, probably that's it. I don't necessarily measure it out, but I don't go too much than, a teaspoon of oil. It helps to lower the after effect of it being bumpy on the surface, and you'll see when I show you that at another time. Also, I am using 9%. That's about 21 grams. So I'm ready to add this in. That's 21. Pretty good. So 21 grams. I then stir this bad boy up 2 minutes. Let's talk about that for a real quick second before we get back into some things that you can do for multiple streams of income. 2 minutes. The reason why 2 minutes became a thing, right? Because people always say 2 minutes, except of course if you're using coconut wax, which is a very thin wax, it is about 30 seconds. Soy wax is pretty dense. It's pretty thick. And so you want to get that bad boy stirring. You want to make sure that this thing is got a lot of love, as I like to say, right? You're stirring it up for about 2 minutes. So I normally use something other than the thermometer. But when you're trying to do two things at once, you have to make do. So for you, if you're not a social media person, multiple streams of income, obviously candles is a stream, but that might not necessarily be the only thing you could do, because what if you don't get any business through your website? Craft fairs, pop-up shops, you could wholesale, very good stream of income. You could sell your concrete jars as opposed to candles. You could also sell various objects outside of candles, such as soap dishes, flower pots, you name it. That's a source, even though it kind of is under the same umbrella. I also highly suggest that you do consider some kind of social media. It helps to get the word out for your brand, right? It's a visual medium that you're going to be able to spread, even though it's not an easy medium. It can spread throughout the world and at the very least showcase what it is that you do. If that's not the route you want to do, you're going to have to look for multiple ways to make money. I used to be a dancer prior to this venture. I don't know if you could see. I think you could only see the pumpkin, so you might not be able to see. But up there are some trophies that I've had over the years. I was a dancer for many years, and when I was a dancer, I thought about multiple streams of income, because when you don't work for corporate America, which I didn't work for corporate America, although I did work for corporations. We're almost at the point that I'm ready to pour, by the way. I pour around 145 degrees. I like to make sure that I find 140s, in the 140s is a good number for, number one, for concrete, also for the tops. It just smoothens the whole thing out. I tried higher. I didn't like the way it looked. People have different points of view, and people's opinions are their opinions. if it works for you, you go for it. That's what works for you. So as a dancer, I had DVDs. I had taught. I had a school. I taught. I did private lessons. I did shows. I worked at the Copacabana in New York City for many years. I was in Sayreville, New Jersey. I used to dance at a club, so I danced at various clubs. Now, granted, I was younger. I was able to bust my butt physically to a point where I was tired. I'm ready to pour, by the way. I pour slowly. And so I mentioned the dancing because I thought about multiple streams of income, because when you are an entrepreneur, you're the reason why you're going to make your money. I'm making money based off of the stuff that I do because I've put in the time and energy to make money from that source. There are obviously easier ways to make money on certain ends of what it is that I do. For example, it took me a long time to build my course, and I'm making money through the course, but it's something that I know is extremely valuable for the community, for those who need it, right? It's not a source of making money. It is a valuable source for people, or resource for people, and I happen to make money doing it, right? There's some people that believe that they could do this all by themselves, and by all means, they can. They don't need the course to survive as a concrete candle artist. They don't, but it will help you immensely. And so for those that like to take that on, that help, and utilize that resource, they do. And so I want you to, especially for the holiday season, we're upon the holiday season. We just finished Thanksgiving here in America, and we're heading into Christmas and Hanukkah and all the lovely holidays that we celebrate during the year. And it is something we need to think about for 2024. What are some of the ways? I have very little left over. I always have a smidge left just in case something goes wrong. I spill something. I don't know. I want to make sure I don't have under. I have a little over. So I'm pretty much done. So 2024 is coming around. I don't want to keep you any longer. Think about the multiple streams of income that you can make, because you don't want to just rely on one. Trust me. All right? I'm going to let this harden up. I can't do it today. I'll have to come back tomorrow. It won't affect you because you'll see me through the small editing that I'm doing for this video. But then I want to talk slightly about some of the things I would have done differently. And there are a few, and I think they're important for you to hear. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Ciao. All right, it's the final day, and we're about to reveal this red concrete candle jar with a silver foiled heart. But before I do that, let's do a quick recap of what happened thus far. On day one, we created a red concrete candle jar, and I demolded it 3 hours later, and it weighed 383 grams. The following day, it weighed 356 grams, and the day after that, it weighed 341 grams. Now, if you remember, that day was Thanksgiving, and so I didn't seal the concrete candle jar, which is usually something I do on the third day. So we waited another day, and on the following day, it was 338 grams. So I added the silver foiled heart. I then sealed it, and then we waited till the following day after that, where I added in the Up Vibe logo, transfer label logo, as well as the warning label. Then yesterday, I added the candle wax, the candle wick, and fragrance oil. And if you're doing the math, that takes us to day 8. Now, just as a reminder, if we would have not had Thanksgiving in the middle of this week, it would have been a 7-day concrete candle made video. So, before I go and reveal this concrete candle jar, though, there are 3 things that I would have loved to have done differently, and I wanted to make sure you understood that. And the first thing is, I love Hydrostone, so I would have liked to have used Hydrostone. I'm not opposed to Cementol, I just prefer Hydrostone. Maybe next time I'll do it when I do a video like this in the future. The second thing is, or maybe what I'll do is I'll do both Cemento and Hydrostone. That might be more fun. The second thing is, I love the heart, but I would have loved to have made it a little bit smaller. Not a deal breaker, but it is something I would have preferred. And the third thing is, I ordered a fragrance oil called Love Spell, but it didn't come in on time, so I had to improvise, which is fine. Again, not a deal breaker, but these are the 3 things I wish I would have done differently. I'm sure you have a couple of thoughts on your own. I would love to hear what you think. And before I reveal this concrete candle, this has been an awesome experience, by the way. Let me just snip this off 1/4 of an inch. And are you guys ready? Let's go. I love the way this smells. I love, love, love the way this smells. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And there's one last thing I have to say. Do you know what that is? And take a look at these videos that are popping up now. They're going to help you on your candle making journey. Until next time, thanks for watching. Ciao.